Hi friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel IT Support. And today we are going to manage storage in Linux. So in this video we are going to learn how to attach the new disk drive into the system, how you can create a partition, and how you can format partition. So this all we are going to learn in this video. So before starting, let's learn what is GPT and MBR. So MBR is a master boot record, where GPT stands for Git Partition Table. These are the two different way of storing the partition information on a drive. So let's make a difference between MBR and GPT. So MBR is called master boot record because the MBR is a special boot sector located at the beginning of the drive. So this is the beginning of the drive where the bootloader information and the partition table information stored, so that once the operating system boot, it will check the MBR so that it will have the information about the bootloader, and a bootloader gives the signal to kernel to boot the operating system. So MBR works with disk up to 2 GB of the size. So if you have your disk size of 2 TB, then MBR will work on that. And with MBR it support 4 primary partition, and if you want to create more than 4 partition, then you need to create one of your primary partition as a extended, and on that extended partition you can create up to 15 logical partition. That is supported into the Linux 15 partition. You can create a more partition if you have your operating system as a Windows. If we talk about GPT, then GPT is the new standard that is gradually replacing the MBR. It's associated with UEFI. UEFI replaced the old BIOS. MBR is having BIOS interface, but GPT is having UEFI, okay, which is unified extensible firmware interface. So this is a firmware interface. MBR is having BIOS interface, but it is having UEFI. Drive can be much larger, and the size limit will depend on the operating system and its file system. So Windows allow up to 128 partition on a GPT drive. Linux is also supporting 128 partition, and no need to create extended and the primary partition. So it will start creating partition as a 1, 2, 3 and up to 128. GPT store multiple copies of data across the disk. Okay, so it is also supporting distributed storing of the data. So it is much more robust and can create and can recover if the data is corrupted. So this is about the way of storing the partition, GPT and MBR. Now naming, partition naming. So if you attach any disk inside the operating system, then it will be detect inside the /dev directory, which is for device. This is indicating the device directory. So if you attach ATA hard disk, then it will be detected as HDA. If you attach SCSI disk drive into the Linux system, then it will be detected as SDA. So the first disk first SCSI disk will be detected as SDA. The second disk in the Linux system will be detected as SDB. Then third SCSI disk will be detected as SDC, and so on. The fourth will be SDD, the fifth will be SDE. And if you create a partition inside the first disk, that is SDA, then the first partition will be SDA1, second partition will be SDA2, SDA3 and fourth partition will be SDA4. But if you want to create fifth partition, then it will be SDA5, and that will be a logical partition. Same way, if you attach the ATA hard disk, then it will be detected as HDA, HDB, HDC, and partition HDA1, HDA2 and so on. So this is how the partition of disk will detect inside the Linux system. Now if discovering the partition, so you have connected the disk and you formatted the disk, but how you can manage and how you can discover the partition into the system. So the command which is associated to discover the partitions, that is lsblk. It will list the block of devices. Okay, and here are the option that is work with lsblk command -a. It will list empty device. So if you type the command lsblk, it will not list you the empty device, but if you use option -a, you can see the empty devices also. -m display the owner of the device. Capital L will display only about the information about SCSI devices. Okay, the second command to discover the partition is blkid. Blkid will display you the UUID of the device and its partition type. The example, suppose if I type the command blkid/dev/sda1, so it will show you the information of only sda1 drive, that is the UUID and the partition type. So if I type the command blkid -g, it will reset the cache and to remove the device which is no longer exist. So it will remove the device which is no longer exist into the system. You have already deleted the partition, but still it is showing into the lsblk command. So you can use blkid -g, so it will remove the cache and remove the disk which is no longer exist into the system. The fourth command is df command, that is used to display the disk space usage. It will show you the disk space usage. If you use -h command with df, it will display disk usage by human readable format, capital H, round about the value from 1024 to 1000 value. So this is rounding the value. -t and the type, if you mention -t and the type of the partition, it will display only that type of the partition. -t, capital T option display the system type. Okay, so it will show you the file system type, whether it is XFS or ext4 or ext3. So it will show you the partition type also. If you use option -x and the type, so that type will not showing and other will show, so it will exclude that partition and will display the result. Now the fourth command is du, that estimate the file usage, space usage. It will show you the file space usage. So if you want to see space used by a particular file, then you can use the command du. Small h option will display usage in human readable format. -a will display file usage that is, it will display the file usage and not only the directory. Okay, it will not show the directory file usage information, but it will show you the file directory, file space usage. And this option will exclude the particular file from this directory and display the result. Okay, now managing MBR partition with fdisk command. So fdisk is a utility. So fdisk stands for fixed disk or format disk, is an most commonly used command line based disk manipulation utility. This tool is very useful in terms of creating space for new partitions, organizing space for new drives, recognizing an old drives, and copying and moving data to new disk. It allows you to create maximum of 4 new partitions and number of logical extended partition, if you talk about MBR partition, based on the size of hard disks you have in your system. So fdisk is very useful command in order to create a partition, delete the partition. Okay, assign the space, define the disk size, all you can perform with this fdisk utility. So we are going to learn how to attach the new drive into the system, how it will get detected, and how we can create a partition inside that newly attached disk with fdisk command. And then we are going to format that newly created partition with the partition type, and then we are going to attach that partition as a persistent partition so that you can reboot. While you reboot, that partition should get mounted into the uh, system. So I'm having my virtual machine. So this is my virtual machine where I'm going to show you all the disks that is attached to the system and its partition type. This is the name of the machine which I'm having inside the Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager. So let me log in as a root user. So as we learn lsblk command, it will list the block devices into the system. So here you can see SDA is my first disk. Okay, it is showing the size that is 8 GB. It is type. It is showing the type that is disk. It is a disk. SDA1 is the first partition in first disk, and its size is 8 GB. Here you can see it is a partition, and inside this partition I have created 3 logical partition. This is LVM, and this first LVM is mounted as a swap, that is logical memory, swap memory, and the second and third is not mounted. Now you can see SDB is my second disk. Okay, and SDB1 is the first partition in second disk. Its size is 18.8 GB, and 100 GB is the total size of SDB second drive, second disk, and the first drive is of 18.6 GB, and it is mounted as a boot partition. The second partition is SDB2, and I have 3 logical partition inside SDB2 partition. Okay, the first logical partition is of 86.6 GB, second is 3.7 GB, and third is 18.6 GB. Now the first logical partition is mounted as a root directory, second is mounted as a swap, and third is mounted as a home directory. Now in second disk I have third partition SDB3, which is of 12.5 GB. Now SDC is my third disk where I am having MD128, that is a red partition, which is of 8 GB. Now fifth partition is SDD. This is 1, 2, 3, and the fourth disk is SDD. Here I am having SDD1 partition on fourth disk, and MD127 inside that disk, that is red partition. And here I have created the red between SDC and SDD. Here you can see SR0, that is the disk drive, that is a DVD drive, which is of 1 GB, and this is the loop that is related with the red partition. So this is how lsblk lists the block devices. If I use option lsblk-a, so it will also show me the empty drive. So the result is same because I'm not having any empty drive, so it will not show that result. If I use lsblk-m option, lsblk-a display the owner detail, lsblk-m, if you press enter, so it will show you the owner detail also with command and its permission. Okay, so if I use hyphen capital S option, so it will show me only the SCSI device, lsblk hyphen capital S. So the output is very short, and here you can see SDA, SDB, SDC, SDD and SR0, where SDA is the hard disk. Okay, this is ATA, these all are the ATA, and this is a virtual box drive SDA. So here you can see the detail of the block devices that is attached to the system. Now the second command is blkid. If you type this command, then you can see all the partitions inside the disk, and here you can see UUID of every partition and its type. This is the UUID and its type. UUID and its type. Here you can see the partition, all the partition available into the system associated with the disk and its type. Now the third command is df. It will show you the disk space usage. Df command, if you press df command, then it will show you the partition. This is a partition, and this is the total block size, this is used block size, and this is available block size, which is not understand and not readable by quickly. You cannot read how much is used and how much is not. Then you need to use option -f -h, so it will be in human readable format. Now you can see that it is 47 GB, used is 44, available is 3.1 GB, and it is 94% used, and it is mounted as a root partition. Okay, same way, if you want to round about the value, then this 47 got rounded by 50 GB, this 44 is rounded by 47. So this option is rounding the value. df-T will show you the type also. Here you can see the first partition is XFS. Okay, SDB1 is XFS. Here you can see TMPFS. These all partition are system reserved partition that is created in order to boot the operating system. Okay, and if you use option with -T and you want to see only XFS partition, then here you can use this option with -T, and if you don't want to see XFS partition, then you can use -X option XFS, then you will not see the XFS partition. Fine. So this is how the df command and du command is used to see space used by the file. So if I want to see disk used by this particular file, so you will see this much of space is using by this file, but it is not human readable. So you want to see as a human readable, you need to use option -H. So here you can see 405 MB space is used by this particular file, and A option will display only the file rather than directory. So du home admin, if you want to see the file inside admin directory, then only file, so you can use this option. And here I have mentioned one more option, that is du-ah, display in human readable format only the file and exclude this file. If you use this extension, this file will get excluded from the home directory of admin. So let's use this command, that is du-ha exclude is equal to you need to mention the file name, Suppose you don't want to see this file, so mention that file name, file, and the location from where you don't want to see this file. So here you can see that the file got excluded in this list. Okay, fine. So let's start to work with fdisk command. So let me show you how you can also check the disk. With fdisk command, if you type the command fdisk-l, you can list the disk that is attached to your system. So here I type this command and got the result. Here you can see devs esdb. This is my first this is the this disk is having partition, which is having the boot partition, which is mounted as a boot partition. That's why I'm getting its detail first than my first disk. So this is the second disk, but it is showing first because it is having the boot directory. Star means sdb1 is mounted as a boot directory, and here you can see partition sdb1, sdb2 and sdb3 having its hex value 83, 80 and 83. 83 means it is the Linux partition. 8e means sdb2 is having logical partition that we have already listed with lsblk command, and its value is 80, that is it is lvm partition. Same way as db3 is my Linux partition. This is a start sector, this is the end sector, and this is a total block size. Same way, this is my first disk SDA and having the partition SDA1, which is also LVM. Now SDC, which is having partition SDC1, it is FD, that is Linux Red Auto Detects. So its hex value is FD, means this is the red partition. Same way SDD, which is also having SDD1 partition, which is also the red partition. And these are the logical partition detail, these are the logical volume partition. So this value is this is of 50 GB, this is of you can see all the logical volume detail with fdisk command. So let me attach a new partition new disk into the system, and then we are going to list the new disk. So let's power off the system. After power off the virtual machine, I'm going to attach a virtual drive in this machine. Go into setting and go into storage, select SCSI drive, create new one, create as a VHD, create one. It is of 10 is already created, so I'm going to create 11. It is of 8 GB, create. So this disk is got attached to the system. Press OK and then start the system. So system is starting. Actually my system is giving error of SE Linux disabled, so let me do the setting for SE Linux disabled. I'm going to add parameter while the system is putting, that is not related with the topic which are discussing in this video. SE Linux is equal to 0, press Ctrl X. And now the system is booting. The system started, login as administrator. Opening the terminal. Login as a root user. And here if I press lsblk command, then it will list me the block devices, and the newly attached disk is detecting as SDB. Okay, and this is my second disk which is got attached. Same way you can also check with fdisk -l. This SDB, yes, this SDB is got attached and having no partition inside it. So let's start to create partition in newly attached hard disks. So command will be fdisk and device name SDB. Press enter. So here I'm getting message that welcome to fdisk utility. Changes will remain in memory only while you decide to write them. Until and unless you are not writing the changes into the disk, that will remain into the memory only. And be careful before using the write command. Device does not contain a recognized partition. Partition is not here. So here you can see command M for help. If you press M, then you can see the options which are working with fdisk command. A for toggle a bootable flag, B to edit BSD disk label, C to toggle the DOS compatibility flag, D to delete the partition, we are going to use this option, G to create a new empty GPT partition that we have discussed. Now capital G create an IRIX SGI partition table, L to list known partition type. So if you want to see the known partition type, that is XFA, LVM or extended, if you want to know that partition type, you need to press L and you will get the list. So let me show you. If you press L, so here you can see these are the options. Now here 83 is a Linux partition, 82 is a Linux swap, okay, and 5 is stands for extended. Okay, this FD is for red Linux red partition. Okay, now M to print this menu, we have already used this option. M show you the list of available option. N to add a new partition, if I press N, I can be able to add a new partition. O to create a new empty DOS partition. P to print a partition table, if I press P, then no partition is available, so here you cannot see any partition. Q to quit without saving, if you don't want to save, you can just press Q and you will get out from the fdisk utility. S to create a new empty sun disk label. T to change the partition system ID. U to change or display entry units. V to verify the partition table. W to write table to disk and exit. So W option is used to write the changes and you will get quit from the disk fdisk utility. X is used for extra functionality. If you press X, you will get export command mode, and if I press M, then here you can see more option get added. I option, this I option get added, F option get added, B option is also get added, C option is get added, D will work differently here, print the raw data. Okay, so let's quit from the expert mode. So let's start to create a new disk, a new partition. So I'm going to press N. If you press N, then it will prompt you the option primary and extended. Primary, here it is showing 0 primary, 0 extended, and available 4 free partition is available. You can create 4 primary and E for extended. So I'm going to, and default it is selected as P. If I press enter, it will by default select P. If I press enter, now it will ask me to select the partition number. if I here available partition number will be 1 to 4 and default selected 1. If I press enter, 1 will get selected. First sector size starting from 2048 up to this is the sector size. Default is already selected as 2048. I'm going to select default value. Now it is saying that last sector size select into the in form of the value plus size. If you want to create a 1 GB of the size, then you need to place plus 1G. If you press enter, the first partition of 1 GB is created. If you press P, then you can see the partition table and SDB1 first partition starting with the sector 12048 ending with this, and its hex value will be 83. It is the Linux partition. Now create the next partition, which is also be the primary. It's now it is showing 2 and 4, but we select between 2 and 4 because 1 is already got selected. So I'm going to use 2 default sector value, which is ending here and starting with this value. So it is 199, so it is 200 here. So I'm going to select default value. Now 1 GB. Again I'm going to create 1 GB of size. Second partition is also got created. If I press P, you can see SDB1 and SDB2, these two partition got created, and again it is having type 83. Again press and create primary partition. So here you can have option 3 and 4 only. If I by default it is selected 3, press enter. Default sector value also create 1 GB of size. Press P to see the partition table. SDB3 is also created. Again you create fourth partition, same value. Now here default is selected. Default is selected as extended. So if you want to create a partition more than 3 or 4, here you can create 4 primary partition, but if you want to create more partition like 5 partition or 6 partition, then your fourth partition should be extended. If you select the fourth partition as extended, then only you can able to create another logical partition inside the extended partition. So I'm going to select P. Let me show you how it works. If I select P, then fourth partition will get created and its size plus 1G. So fourth partition is also created. Here you can see fourth partition is created. But if you want to create fifth partition, then it is giving you the error message that if you want to create more than 4 partitions, you must replace the primary partition with an extended first. So I need to delete fourth partition. It will automatically select the default value as a 4. Press enter. The fourth partition got deleted. Press AND. Default value got selected E. Press enter. The after sector will get automatically selected. Press enter, and here you can define the size. I'm going to define its size as 5 GB plus 5 GB. No, it should be like 4 GB. So the fourth partition is got created and its hex value is 5. It is extended partition, and after extended partition, on top of extended partition you can create the logical partition. So let's create the new partition inside the extended one. So adding logical partition 5. So this SDB4 got deleted, and here you will be getting the notation as SDB5. So SDB1, 2, 3 and 5. Default value, give it size as plus 1 GB. If I press P, So now fourth partition is selected as extended partition, and now you can able to create the fifth partition as SDB5, which is also the Linux partition, and so on. You can also create sixth partition plus 1 GB. You can create the seventh partition of 1 GB, and so on. You can create number of partition up to 15. Okay, so 15 is a logical partition that you can create inside the Linux system. Now now let's change the seventh partition as a swap partition. Okay, so I'm going to change its value from 83 to 82. So for that you need to type option T. If you press T, it will ask you which partition you want to change. I'm going to use 7. Press enter. Now it will show you hex code. If you want to see the hex code, you need to type L if you don't know the hex code value. But I know the hex code value for swap, that is 82. If you don't know, you can use option -L. Here you can see 82 is using for Linux swap. So I'm going to use 82. So change the type of partition Linux to Linux swap. For seventh partition will be selected as a swap partition. Fine, let me write the changes. So changes got created. Now after creating the changes, you need to type the command part probe. If you type the command part probe, then kernel, you will letting the kernel will know that you have created the partition and you no need to reboot the operating system. SDB. So kernel will know that the new partition got added. lsblk. So here you can see SDB SDB disk is having partition SDB 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, and its value 1 GB. Total is 8 GB. By default the fourth partition is created as 1 KB. So here I make some mistake, but all partition are of 1 GB. Now here you will not able to see that it is mounted is anywhere. So let's make SDB2. Now your job is to make define the partition type for every partition. So the command is use mkfs-t. You need to define the partition type, that is ext4 or xfs. You can use xfs, that is a new partition type into the Linux, which is more flexible than ext4. Now device name SDB2. If you press enter, missing something, mkfs-t xfs. So mkfs command -t, and I'm going to use partition type as ext4 for device SDB2. So here you can see partition type is defined for SDB2. So here you can write super block and file system accounting information is done. So I have formatted the partition with partition type, that is ext4. Now is the time to mount this drive into any directory. So I'm going to create any directory, that is mkdir sdb2 wall. I'm going to create this volume. Now mount this /dev sdb2 inside sdb wall directory. It is got mounted. Now you can go inside this newly created directory and you can create any file, sdb new file. Here you can see this sdb new file got created inside the partition of SDB. Now you want to make it persistent, then you need to create an entry inside /etc fs tab file. Once you make the entry inside fs tab file, then this entry will makes persistent and your drive will get automatically mounted while system is booting. So let's create it. So before creating it, you need to check the UUID for SDB2. So here you will get the UUID, get copy this UUID. Now go into the /etc fs tab file and here after this line I'm going to add this UUID. You can also mention the direct path of /dev sdb2. You can also that thing here also, but here I'm going to define the UUID. Now where you want to mount, so you want to mount in 1 minute. So I wants to mount it into this volume, this directory. Copy this directory, go here, paste it. So here you want to mount it. Now its type ext4, define the extension type, and its read write permission will be default, and 0 0 will be the fsck. I don't want to check file this drive while it is booting, and last value will be dump. I don't want to create the dump. Actually it is dump and it is fsck, so I don't want to create anything for that. So after making changes in this fs tab file, this directory will automatically mount in sdb2 volume. So this is how we attach the new drive into the system and created the new partition inside it. And after creating the partition, we have formatted that partition with particular file partition type, and after creating the partition type, we have mounted the drive partition into the directory, and then we have created this and makes this entry inside the fstab file, and from this fstab file this entry will be persistent. So this is how you learn how you can manage the disk and drive inside the Linux system. So thank you for watching my video. If you like my video, please share it, and please subscribe for the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.